Welcome to Tech in the Right Direction, the podcast. Let's take tech in the right direction to drive social change and close the employment, pay, and culture gap for women in technology. This podcast is focused on helping turn ideas into action and create opportunities for women to advance in the dynamic technology industry. I hope this podcast will inspire and motivate you to encourage more women and girls to seek or grow a career as a woman in technology. Stories about the journey of amazing women in the tech field starts right now. Welcome to Tech in the Right Direction, the podcast. This week, I'll be speaking with Chaitra Vedullapalli. Chaitra is recognized as an influential business leader with a passion to enable digital equity and access to achieve economic prosperity in our communities. She is the co-founder and CMO of Meylah, focused on helping customers to modernize their business with cloud solutions. Chaitra is also the co-founder of Women in Cloud, sits on many boards, and drives global conversations with the United Nations and top corporations throughout the U.S. Using the power of AI, cloud, and IoT, Chaitra is fiercely committed to empowering business owners to access the digital economy. She is recognized as an author, speaker, and change leader, holds a patent, is a TEDx and United Nations speaker, and was honored as the top 100 small business influencer. Welcome to the show, Chaitra. I'm so excited to have you on.
Thank you, Jennifer, for having me. And I'm really excited. I'm looking forward to it.
Great. Let's get started. So, Chaitra, can you share with us your career journey and how you got to where you are today?
Absolutely, Jennifer. So let me take you, in my memory lane that have gone through. For me, fashion, sports, music, and creative arts are really in my groove. I love that. Whereas engineering and technology was a stretch for me growing up. So my first encounter to technology was really COBOL programming in my college. And it really took a very interesting direction. I was convinced that I did not have the imagination to develop technology code till I actually learned about Oracle databases and Windows. That's the first time I saw a colorful and effective interface. And that helped me to really start to visualize an invisible code and really see how you could do automation and creative experiences. And from there, basically, when I moved to US, I really decided to kind of learn a lot about technology and then got into my first role at Oracle in the consulting division. When I did that one, I realized how powerful it was when you can really use technology and you can make, millions of lives can be changed because you're creating access to opportunities, access to information. So that was kind of where the opportunity called me. And I said, you know what, which is the other company I want to look? So I've looked into Microsoft as the company I wanted to work for because they focused a lot on $1 billion strategies and kind of changing the world through technology. So that's how I got into kind of like a love for tech and really making an impact in tech. Now, when I look at myself, worked in the corporate sector for 20 years and then decided to take a leap and be an entrepreneur and started with joining the company Meylah, which was run by my husband, who was building like B2C solutions. And when I joined, I said, there's an opportunity to go into the enterprise market. And that's where I saw a lot of opportunities. And that's the place I saw where the glass ceilings were there for women entrepreneurs. And that was a precipitous for building the Women in Cloud journey. So today, when I look at it, a lot I focus on is building cloud solutions for the enterprise market and also for the community and the society. So we have access to information, access to education, access to technology, and also people very easily.
I love that that journey that you took, and I just love that you were able to see beyond just the coding, right? So you looked at technology to change lives and to give access to opportunities to people. And I think you had an amazing vision very early on, and now you are really changing lives and making a difference. So, so proud of you going through that journey. And we both share a passion for women in tech. So can
Yep.
you tell us a little bit more about the work that you're doing? I know you talked a little bit about women in cloud. So tell us a little bit about the work you're doing in this space and how you're making a difference. And then if you look at that, has it helped your career any or changed your career?
Absolutely, Jennifer. Great question. So when I look about the work that I'm doing in the tech sector, I was pretty active in mentoring and being mentored in the tech communities when I was in the corporate world. I focused a lot around economic access and entrepreneurship work in my daily lives. Even when I was at corporate companies, I still spent a lot of time on creating programs around economic access and entrepreneurship for youth or for small businesses. But the place where I saw the significant opportunity was 3 years ago. I met with an investor, and the first thing he looked at the solution and they said, "Well, I don't know if I want to invest in you." That was the first thing. I was like, "Wow, there's no funding even available for our solution." So I went into like communities, which is like going and talking to the Small Business Administration, working with the state, working with the cities, realized that there was no economic development program for women in tech, literally for business builders. And most of the thing was in the area of construction or retail, but nothing in the tech sector.
Mm.
So we started a program called Cloud Ready, which I convinced Microsoft US subsidiary to say, we need to think about a pilot and see if there are opportunities for people who are building tech solutions so they can really strategically partner with Microsoft and really take it to market. And as part of it, that program grew from like just Seattle into literally entire US. And I got a chance to go and meet like 5,000 companies in over 6 months, pretty significant amount. And I think I met you in some. But it was in Chicago when we had like over 250 people. There were only two women in the back. In New York, there were maybe another three women who were builders, and they were all sitting in the back. They were not even in the front.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like very curious. It's like, why is that? Why is there so less? And I'm like the odd woman standing there and educating on cloud transformation and building cloud solutions. And that was kind of a epiphany moment, as there is a challenge. And I met women in the lobby, had questions. They said, there's nothing out there. There's nothing that we can go and find a community or an accelerator or help us build these solutions in partnership with companies like Microsoft. There's no co-sell, there's no co-market, and I don't know what to do. And that is the one I came back and spent time with the Microsoft executives because I had worked there before. Said is we drew up in a napkin what a $1 billion strategy would look like for creating economic access for female tech entrepreneurs who can build strategic partnership with enterprise companies. They said, fantastic. So let's do a research. So what we found, Jennifer, this is where it was a epiphany moment. Less than 1% of women tech founders were actually involved in the tech channel, in the
Wow.
distribution channel. Less than 2% of women tech entrepreneurs were actually driving digital transformation work in the enterprise market when the opportunity was $4.5 trillion. Now it's more. And then when you look at the investor data and you look at other data, it follows in a single digit, lower single digit. And that's when we said, let's create a narrative here and see if we can actually make a dent in it. And this one will be probably a decade of programming we have to do. So we said, okay, if we do a decade kind of a program, which is by 2030, partner with UN, build $1 billion strategy, and see if we can take 1,000 women building tech solution in the enterprise market and really help them build $1 million recurring revenue business using knowledge and access and policy changes. Can we make that happen? And that is what made Women in Cloud Women in Cloud. It became a brand, and we have a community building activity. So I don't know if you have participated, Jennifer. We really get them closer to the buyers and investors. We have the Cloud Accelerator, which is education on how to get ready for enterprise market, whether you're a service-based or technology solution-based, but really mostly for technology solution. It's a different way of pricing and licensing and taking to market. And then is really focus a lot on legislative work and getting all the policymakers to know that we are the next generation entrepreneurs who will change the economic development, and we need to have a seat at the table. So that was how Women in Cloud was born.
Chaitra, wow, that is just quite a journey, and you are really making a difference for women. And those numbers that you talked about, the percentages of women in tech and the percentages of women in digital transformation is just sad. With a $4.5 trillion market at that time, why are we only 1 and 2% of it? So really putting this $1 billion program together and enticing women to come into the cloud, you guys have done some amazing work. I'm so happy to see those numbers are rising. So from the 1,000 women, where are you now?
We have helped 55 companies through the cohort who are all ready for the enterprise market. All have some amazing solutions which are ready for any enterprise to come and say that I can really adopt them and drive digital transformation of my business. Things are in security, we have infrastructure, collaboration, AI, events, digital economic development. We just have tons of solutions that have come up with. So now when we go and talk to enterprise company, we say we are the DEI portion of the digital transformation. We would love you to have a conversation with us.
That's awesome. I'm just so excited for the work that you're doing. You've also been instrumental in driving global change. Can you share some of the ways that you've done that?
Sure, Jennifer. For me, my passion is economic access, and for me is being rooted into economic development, which focuses a lot on job creation. So for me, when I think about job creation, you have to really get people to first change their mindset, second, skill them correctly, third, accelerate into programs, and then open up opportunities for them. So I've done a lot in, the economic development aspect of business building and working in a public-private partnership that allows me to do global change. So when I look at any change that I have to make, I'm usually looking at what's the UN goal that I'm going to influence, and which of the UN goal that I can actually move the target for faster, so that we can actually say, okay, we helped address a global change, right? That was the first thing. And the second is, which are the ecosystem that I actually can influence? For me, it was youth. It was an area that I educate pretty much every week and help young kids to really be prepared for the career. So have a lot of hackathons and, pitch challenges and doing a lot of the accelerators for them. And I have for women as one of my area because I can connect with them. I understand what they are going through. And then a lot around the minority ecosystem. So where they really need access, and wherever there's lack of access, that's where the areas that I'm looking at and thinking about what change we could do. The third, which drives me, every day, is the digital transformation. I can really look at any paper-based program and try to convert that into a digital process very quickly. And I think that's a gift because I have done electrical engineering. So I know is if you have to create electricity, you have to do something on the start point and it goes through a black box and comes your electricity out, right? So that kind of mindset is there. And there's the same thing in digital transformation. So when I'm thinking about my pillars, how I influence is through economic development, entrepreneurship, and digital transformation for driving the global change, which is really connected to all the UN goals.
That is just amazing. And those are great, great areas. I love that you work with youth because we have to build our pipeline for the future. And then women and minorities that are kind of underserved markets. So great job in really focusing in those areas. You also sit on many boards and you're always striving for empowering business owners to access the digital economy. Can you share with our listeners how you do that? How can business owners access the digital economy?
Perfect. So as I sit on boards, there are three areas that I come and say I can add value. One is strategically identify the right governing, like help with the governance of the
Mm-hmm.
board to identify, do we have the right fit? Do we want to look at strategic partnerships? So it's kind of like adding strategic value to the board itself.
Mm-hmm.
The second area which I look for is how are they creating value and what kind of digital transformation that we can drive that will unlock opportunities for the company or the community boards that I'm in. What kind of opportunities are we creating and can we accelerate that opportunity creation through digital transformation?
Mm-hmm.
And number three is really looking into global expansion through partnerships. How do you really think about a go-to-market in a strategic way without really having a lot of resources that you have to put in, but how do you do it? So a couple of things that I have done is I'm on the Microsoft Alum network. So we are really expanding right now in China and India. So contributing to how to think about the expansion. What are the key areas we need to think about expansion?
Mm-hmm.
The second area is with Women in Cloud. We're expanding in 8 countries. How do we think about expanding in 8 countries? Do we create chapters or should we create partnerships, right? So those are the areas I really look into. The third area is just the people and the diversity and the inclusion and having equity so that when we are in the board talking about people, I am representing the people who are not sitting at the table, which are our stakeholders. So what do they need? How do they need to think about, are we really listening to them and are we representing them well? So if I'm in the public or, if I'm in the public board, then I'll be representing the shareholder value, right? The shareholders. If I'm in the community board, I'm looking at a stakeholder representation and ensuring that we are actually driving the value we want to see achieve.
That's great. Wow. You are just doing some amazing work globally, not just in the US, but giving these opportunities to our underserved communities and audiences is going to make such a big difference. In 5 years, we can look back and see how you've moved the needle. So that's great.
Stay tuned for the rest of today's interview after a brief word from our sponsor. Are you an expert in your field? Are you a woman who values thought leadership? We'd love to have you join us as a guest on an upcoming episode of Tech in the Right Direction. Visit us at directionstraining.com/podcast to apply today. While there, be sure to check out Directions Training's newest initiative, the WIT Cloud Power Scholarship for Azure Fundamentals Certification. This year, we have offered 100 scholarships to women for the Microsoft Azure Fundamentals Training course, valued at $950 per student, as an opportunity to start their pathway to becoming a Microsoft certified professional. Help us continue to drive social change and the advancement of women in the technology industry. Thank you for listening to Tech in the Right Direction. We now rejoin our host, Jennifer Didier, with today's guest.
So, women only receive 3% of VC funding, and the amounts that they receive is over 30% lower than their counterparts, so their male counterparts. Um, so, if you're a woman today and you're looking for VC funding, what are some of the ways that you can create more economic access for women so that they can get a better percentage of the funding that's out there?
Sure, Jennifer. This one is, I think it's a personal, this is my personal point of view. And this is how I look at it. When
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking about, when I put wear a hat as an investor, and VCs are investors, I'm really looking at how is a company or an idea actually reaching to the customers? How are they growing? What is the plan? How do you go about it? So if we are working with a VC, we really have to be ready to ensure that you know what your go-to-market plan is, what your idea is, what value you're creating, and are we able to create 10x the value for what they have invested in us. So it's very important to know the psyche of the VC. And if you really look at it, right now, women really need a lot of assistance to get into the enterprise market. And for me, I'm looking only at enterprise market. And that particular one, if you look at it, if the corporations and the big companies are spending less than 1% of their corporate funding, around the digital transformation with women, you can also see the VC funding is not going to come in that market.
Mm-hmm.
So the more we create is, women to go and win these opportunities in the enterprise market and keep the VCs engaged and build a strategic partnership. And when you're ready to scale, whenever you're ready to take the money, then you have them right next to you because they will work. When they come in, they are expecting growth, they're expecting scale. But when
Mm-hmm.
you're trying to do pilots and trying to experiment with things like that, that is a place you have to start building partnerships with companies like Microsoft, Google's, and IBM's of the world so that they can get you to market quickly so you can start to really test out your hypothesis on what needs to happen. So the go-to market becomes very, very important because you need a trust. You need a brand that says that they're part of my ecosystem and you can trust working with these entrepreneurs and business founders. So when I'm focusing on from a VC standpoint, from a woman in cloud perspective, I love the VC ecosystem, but what we are coaching the women is to really win customers, really win the
Mm-hmm.
customers, which takes an average of 6 to 18 months to really win customers within 6 months, laser focused, make sure that you have all the roadblocks removed. And through the accelerator, we are helping them win those pilots. And then they also have is because it's a Microsoft Cloud Accelerator, they also have a support from Microsoft from credits and coaching and advisor and benefits that allows them to move through the process of winning a customer. And and also one of the things that we also wanted to do was enterprise companies wants to find where these solutions are. So we are building Women in Cloud Solution Marketplace that's coming. So we can list all these solutions and they can get introduced, they can request demos, they can go trial their software very easily. So they are in that motion. So there wouldn't be any excuses. I don't know where to find them. Now you will have a place to find them. And
Mm-hmm.
the third one is throughout the year is creating rich curated networking sessions and helping them connect and help them build relationship with the VCs and the buyers and the influencer in the ecosystem. Eventually, they will find a way to get to that customer and close the deal. And if women are doing really well, they actually don't even need a VC funding. They can actually build a very successful cloud business and working with the enterprise ecosystem.
That's great. So, one of the things that stands out about you, Chaitra, is your confidence. And we know confidence is something that a lot of women struggle with. And maybe that's one of the reasons why the funding is not as available too, because like you said, you have to have your message, you have to have your go to market strategy, you have to have your idea, your growth plan, all of those things. Can you tell us how you received this level of confidence, because you are so confident in everything that you do, and it's such an inspiration to all of us.
Jennifer, I wish I knew the answer, but I'll give you a answer, not the answer in this situation. With regards to confidence, I think I'm not afraid of failing. That's just who I am. I said I look at life as a experimentation lab. So I look at it and say, let's see. If someone says no, I'm very curious why they said no. What was the psyche behind it? What is the other things that are stopping them from saying yes, right? And that allows me to learn about people and learn about more around their surrounding culture and how they operate. So when you're not afraid of failure, then it becomes very easy. Like I get rejected probably every day. For every one yes, I probably have got 100 no's. But my philosophy is when someone comes to me, I always want to say yes, not no, because I know they probably have rejected multiple times a day. And I can be that inspiration for them to keep going through as they go through it. So when they come to Women in Cloud, the philosophy is for them to feel inclusive. They feel like they're going to get what they're looking for, even if just opening the door for them so they feel special to get through it. So when I look at confidence, is mostly like, practicing that, life is an experiment. It doesn't work the way you want it to work. If you fall down, the best way to do is to get up and dust off all the negativity you had and just keep moving. And you will find friends, you will find customers, you'll find partners who have the same value, and you will create the best. And this particular rejection is really introspection for you to look and say, that the messaging did not work, or maybe the solution did not work, or the timing it's not the right timing. So kind of helping you navigate all your rejection and fears and not be afraid of it. I think the confidence comes from that. And I always feel is like, what's the worst can happen? I'm not dying, so it's okay. We'll go try something new.
That's great. And not being afraid to fail is such great advice, because that's probably one of the biggest reasons, because women always want to do everything perfectly and have all the wins, from the get-go, and not being able to fail kind of stifles them. So I think that's such good advice to say, you know what, take it in stride, and every no gets you closer to a yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's great. So, so I know you work many, many hours all the time. How do you come up with work-life balance? You have a family, you do so much outside of work. Can you tell us a little bit about some of your best practices on balancing everything?
Jennifer, I love adventure. So balance for me is a fine word, but I like adventure in my life. And I feel like when I'm doing adventures from one adventure to another, I usually think like a theme park, and I say, okay, I'm going on this roller coaster ride, and then I want to go to that roller coaster ride. Between that roller coaster, I need to take a break and to just kind of just feel it, what the adventure was, and then figure out what my next adventure going to be. So for me is I love a community who can goes with me through that adventure with me, and also take a break, have a discussion, enjoy those memories, and then go into a different adventure. So, but the way I look at it is really look at my life as how many, adventures I'm creating. And I call it as a video games that I'm going to play every day or every month or every year. And my coping strategies really is like, I love cooking. I love playing with my spices. I love dancing. I love painting. So I kind of call myself as a multi-potentialite because I'm so creative in every aspect. So whenever I feel like I am not getting the outcome that I would like, I would go and use my creative energy to kind of get me motivated time. I spend a lot of time with my family. I'm always there for anyone, whether it's my parents or my in-laws, my husband, my kids. I'm always present because for them is just being there. Whether if they are there for 5 minutes, I'm there for 5 minutes. If they need me for an hour, I'll drop everything for them. And that gives me to ground myself that I'm there available. And there's only one life, and I want to spend time with my family and my friends and my community who cares about me. So from a balance standpoint, I wish I could. I look at every hour and say, okay, do I have like 2 minutes to close my eyes and just ground myself
Hmm.
and feel it and breathe and like just breathe. If you can breathe well, you have balance. That's kind of how I look at it.
And you also believe in meditation, correct? So tell us a little bit about that.
So I do love meditation, but what I've learned is meditation is to just learn how I breathe. That is what the
Hmm.
meditation I do is. Am I breathing fast? Am I breathing slow? Am I taking the right level of oxygen like when I do? So I kind of, it's like a science-based meditation I look at. But it's usually to kind of slow down my heartbeat and my thoughts because it's racing all the time. So that one allows me to kind of breathe in a way that my thoughts can calm down. So I can really have a crystal clear view of anything that I'm working on. So I do take multiple breaks a day and really take like 2 to 3 minutes. It doesn't take a lot. Just
Hmm.
close my eyes and just kind of ground myself. And in the morning and the evening, I just have some Bollywood music playing, and that kind of gives me the energy that I need.
That's
So
great.
and like when I cook with a lot of colorful vegetables. So that kind of gives me that space of like zenful space. It really allows me to be pretty happy. That's it. I don't think I have a balance. I work crazy hours, but I think I have a technique to be a high performer individual, and I know the techniques to manage that one on a day-to-day basis.
That's great. I think, what you said really resonated with me is to be in the moment. Whatever you're doing, you're in the moment and you're enjoying that moment as an adventure. And I love that because sometimes I know I'm guilty of this. I'm in the moment and I'm thinking of something else, what I need to do or what I didn't do, or, all of those things. And you really need to be present. I think that gives you a lot of joy. And then you said about breathing. I think that is so key. And I just learned this week, actually. I ordered some essential oils and I realized that I put this diffuser in on my desk and it just felt so good. And I thought, you know why it feels so good is because I've been breathing deeper because I just love the smell of lavender or whatever I was diffusing. It just, but it made me concentrate on my breathing. So you don't even need the oils, but the breathing is so important.
Absolutely, absolutely, Jennifer. And this has been my, I've been like trying to find is how do you really feel like alive every minute and you
Hmm.
have this energy. People think like I have a lot of energy, but I'm telling you, I used to get exhausted too. And there's a book by James Nestor called Breathe. And I think it gave me the science behind breathing, and I understand what meditation should actually be, and using his techniques and using some of the science behind it, I can tell you is I sleep better. I have my body feels much more happier, and then I
Hmm.
also feel more present because now I'm not exhausted.
Yeah, I love that. I wrote down the name of the book, Breathe. I'm going to have to get it and learn your techniques.
I will
um,
send you some YouTube videos too with
I
that.
would love that. I would love that. So, Chaitra, can you share with our listeners the details about the upcoming Women in Cloud Summit and why it's so critical for women to join and have a collective voice so that we can make change happen with laws and access?
Absolutely. I am so excited about the summit because that's a celebration moment. This is going to be the fourth year. and it's going to be all digital. So every one of us are trying to figure out how do we make it really cool. But the thing that we are working on is collective power. We want is a unified voice across the world and talking about what economic access and laws that we want to change. So we are looking at very powerful leaders to come there and inspire all of us. The core element of the summit itself is networking. Literally every experience that we have put together is for you to meet some amazing people in the industry and many companies to participate. So it feels like a union, or I would say United Nations of technology companies coming there. And you get to really experience programs where if you're looking for a job, you have companies who are looking for, candidates who can really fit the roles. If you want to meet with buyers and investors, you have the Cloud Executive Connect there. For Black female founders, we have created a networking experience so they can meet with industry leaders. So literally it's focused a lot around networking. And the last one is action oriented. We want everybody to be transforming their lives, and all the core content that is created is for each individual to increase their personal power, as well as build a plan to achieve their own North Star goals. And you can see me, Jennifer, I'm so excited because the content is looking fantastic. The people who will come together to create that experience. In the digital world, we can literally tap into the entire world to be part of it. So I'm asking all of you to consider to be part of the Women in Cloud Digital Summit. It's on January 28th till 30th. It's a 3-day. It is very, very integrated for youth, for women, for male allies, and for industry leaders, lawmakers, and also economic development leaders, all to come together and say, it's time that we really need to unlock access for women. And let's make DEI as a way for unlocking economic access, right? So let's really make sure that women are getting into places they need to be.
I love that. I'm marking my calendar. I went to one, I think last year and the year before, and it's just so inspiring, so motivating. It's just a great, great summit. I know you guys work very hard to put it together, and I think all different audiences need to attend. So I'm glad you shared the date with us.
Absolutely. And Jennifer, you're actually doing some really fun activities with us. So keep your calendar open. It's coming.
I will. I'm marking it. Definitely. I'll be there. And I'm very excited also about the project we're working on together. And we can't give the whole program to our listeners yet, but can you give us a sneak peek of your vision?
Absolutely, Jennifer. So as we talked about, we want women to go into building solutions and have a design thinking, and also learn how to really stitch multiple technologies to create solutions. Because once you know how to build solutions, you know how to build your strategic narratives and how to really bring the right people to adopt your technology and your solution, you actually will move easily up the career, as well as same thing if you're trying to build a business, it becomes easier to win customers. So the project that Jennifer and I are working, I want all of you to keep that in mind, that anyone who takes that curriculum and the education program, they will be able to really build solutions. And I want you to keep, I want to keep the interest open so that when that program is announced, I want all of you to consider participating in the program.
That's awesome. I'm so excited. And yes, that'll create so many more opportunities to build solutions for women and take them to that next level. So in closing, what advice would you give to a woman who's considering a career in tech, but is really not sure and kind of on the fence? What would you say to her?
Jennifer, I have insight that I want to share. We know that the technology industry has not only like taught me how to adopt the change, but also embrace the rate of change. And the rate of change in the technology sector is going to increase, by in hours, and the demands constantly, it's changing, right? So you have to have some three, I would say, to combat that stress and feeling overwhelmed here, few things that I will share that I basically use it in my day-to-day life. First is, embrace situational leadership. This is a kind of leadership that will be extremely beneficial for you to look at a situation and then make decision based on the situation, so that even if you do not make a decision correctly, you have a opportunity when you change, let's say the decision was not the right decision, but when you get an opportunity to make the decision again, the situational leadership allows you to look at the situation, look at your stakeholder, and make the right decision. So that way you're not really kind of being in a guilty place. It allows you to move through the journey. Second is always focus on creating access for others. I have practiced, unlocking economic opportunities for people around me. And so my mantra is to help people achieve the highest level of growth on the Maslow's law. But however, you can still start with opening your Rolodex or getting people connected to others, creating a job opportunity, but make a difference in people's life, but using the Maslow's law. And third is acquire emotional and relational currencies to really understand people and unlock blockers for them so they can realize their ultimate potential. And I truly believe these are the three characteristics that I have used on a consistent basis and really help me accomplish, to the goals that I'm always, working on, and really looking at the situation, creating access, and implementing the emotional and relationship currencies as needed, or acquiring those currencies through my journey.
Very, very important skills and great, great advice, Chaitra. So, what's the best way for our listeners to get a hold of you?
The best way is LinkedIn is a best way. So if you go to the LinkedIn, you can find me with my name, Chaitra Vedullapalli. Very easy, very easily accessible. Second is you can you can contact Jennifer. She can give you access to me. At the end of the day, the best way to connect with me is try to find a way that we can work together and really create a bigger impact. And that way I can mobilize that program very easily within the ecosystem. And second, if you want to create access for a bigger community, Women in Cloud has a collective reach of 100 million women across the world. So anytime you're thinking about, I don't know how to make an impact, I need some guidance, I can definitely connect you to the right people or the right community so you can mobilize your vision and really make an impact in our society. Because I know each and every one of you who are listening here has incredible ideas and incredible wealth of resources. How about putting that in action and achieving the global goals faster, so we don't have to wait till 2030? We can do it a little earlier.
Together we can do more, right?
Exactly.
That's great. Chaitra, you're so inspiring. I just love your journey. I love your story. And I love all the work that you do to help others continuously gain more access, especially women. So thank you, thank you, thank you. This was such a joy to have you on the show, and hopefully we will have you again on soon.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you for listening to Tech in the Right Direction. Please take a minute to subscribe or follow so that you never miss an episode. Also, don't forget to like, share, and comment. Thank you. See you next week.
From IT skill enhancements to end-user adoption training, Directions Training is your resource to help optimize the effectiveness of your technology investments. Over 500,000 students have taken advantage of our wide selection of technology and business training solutions covering the most popular applications today, such as Microsoft 365, Azure, Windows 10, and more. As a podcast listener, we invite you to take advantage of an exclusive offer. Receive 30 days of free access to our Microsoft official curriculum on-demand courses for IT professionals or end users. Visit us at www.directionstraining.com/podcast to claim this offer today. Hurry, this offer is only available for a limited time. Success is a journey. Ask for directions.